Hey, what's going on, guys? Baseball Stud 294 here. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm doing something a little bit different with this video than what I normally do. And since it's been cold, we've been through the winter months, I decided to go back to the basics and give you guys some simple DIY or do-it-yourself type projects that you can be working on right now before the spring hits us. So hopefully these tips will help you guys increase better consistency with your gun. AEG, of course, these are all going to be tips for your AEGs. So better consistency, potentially increased feet per second, and increased range. So they're all going to be working with your air system, so your piston, your cylinder, all the piston heads, cylinder heads, your O-rings, things of that nature, your air seals. The one disclaimer I do have though is, even though this is a do-it-yourself type project, you do need to open up your gearbox for almost all of the tips I will share with you. So if you're not comfortable with that, you've never done tech work inside your gearbox before, you may want to be cautious or reconsider that. So, or also the other fact is it does void your manufacturing warranty. So if that stuff isn't on really your priority list, I don't blame you. So this video may not be for you, but for no more than maybe $5–10, you'll be able to do all of these types of modifications, and probably even less than that. You really only need 1 or 2 supplies. So other than that, guys, I'm going to jump right into the video, and hopefully you guys enjoy this.
Alright guys, so before I jump right into the tips, one last thing I want to say is, instead of utilizing video step-by-step instructions, I figured these tips are so easy, and at least easy enough, that you guys can follow right along with my audio descriptions, as well as some pictures that I'm utilizing to help get the point across on what these mods are supposed to look like and how you should do them. So that being said, let's jump right into the first tip. So tip number 1 is going to be talking about expanding that piston O-ring. So generally, most of the stock AEGs we get from the factory or from our retailers, they generally have that O-ring right at the tip of the piston, and essentially it's either contracted or it's a little bit too small for what we would like it to be. So essentially you have air escaping behind the piston, so you're not getting as good of air compression that you should be. So to remedy that, it's very, very simple. All you want to do is, as the picture shows, you simply want to remove that O-ring and simply install it on top of your cylinder. So it's that brass or metallic looking cylinder shape that the actual piston is riding inside of. So by installing your O-ring on the outside of your cylinder, essentially that's expanding the size or expanding the diameter of that O-ring, thus allowing a tighter fit or a better air seal when it's reinstalled. So essentially there's 2 ways to do it. You can do it just the way that the photo is showing right now, where you can simply install it over the cylinder, let it stretch out for a couple minutes, and then remove it, reinstall it onto your piston head, and call it good. The only downside to that is it does cause stress points or weak points to where it's actually stretching. Generally it happens in 2 locations. That's just the way that the rubber expands, unfortunately. So it's not necessarily bad, but it could cause premature wear. The other way to do it is, as the picture shows here, you can simply rotate the cylinder and essentially roast it a little bit, roast that O-ring underneath an open flame. Now you don't want it to melt, you don't want it to burn, you don't want it to get super hot. You're simply warming the rubber up to a certain temperature to allow it to expand more evenly. So if you see it start to change colors, you want to stop because it's getting too hot. But what this does is, again, it allows the rubber to expand evenly, causing less premature wear and less weak points. So this is the way that I recommend doing it, but either way, it shouldn't, be a major difference for you. So once that's done, you want to obviously let the O-ring cool off, let it sit for a couple minutes, maintain its integrity, everything like that, and then once that cooling is achieved, essentially it'll stay at that new diameter. So then, of course, once that's done, you want to go reinstall the O-ring back onto your piston head, and then you can reinsert your piston into your cylinder. So very, very easy stuff there. It costs you no money at all. You don't even need to use a lighter if you don't really want to, or if you're a younger person. So alright, other than that, now jumping into tip number 2, this is going to be talking more along with the compression as well, and this is going to be Teflon taping the cylinder head. So essentially the same cylinder that you just utilized, you want to remove that cylinder head as the picture shows here, and you want to essentially use some Teflon tape. Often it's called PTFE tape or plumber's tape, threading tape. Doesn't make a difference. Essentially it's a very, very lightweight but durable type of tape. It's a little bit thinner than electrical tape and definitely thinner than duct tape. So it's actually waterproof, or not waterproof, but it helps seal in water or liquids and stuff like that in PVC piping, or more metal type piping. So it's great for keeping in air as well. So simply all you want to do for this, another very, very easy task, is you want to remove that cylinder head and essentially wrap it 2 to 3 times, depending on how much room you have in your cylinder. And so you should have, generally the cylinder heads have anywhere between 1 to 2 O-rings, which are supposed to help create a better air seal. And sometimes that's not always true, or after a lot of games and usage, those tend to wear out. So you can always, instead of replacing your cylinder head, or even if you do replace your cylinder head, you can simply wrap it with Teflon tape either 2 to 3 times, and that'll get you a better, tighter fit inside your cylinders. So again, very, very easy, and this will help create better consistency with each of your shots, because it's ensuring, working directly with that newly expanded piston O-ring, that you maintain a constant compression and you don't have any leaks within your cylinders. So that's definitely another easy mod to do. So going on to tip number 3, guys, this is going to be Teflon taping the hop up. Now, this is kind of a gray area. Some people really like to do it. Some people really don't like to do it. And there's some controversy on what's better, what's not. So essentially, as the picture shows here, all you're simply doing is you can either wrap the end of your bucking, so you don't want to get in the way of the nub or anything like that. You want to wrap where the bucking connects with the barrel. So as the picture shows here, you can kind of see it, I hope. I didn't take any photos of this, so I'm gonna have to add these in after I'm done doing this commentary. So hopefully I get some pictures up for you guys. But essentially, this is going to create a better seal for the bucking. Occasionally the buckings can get stretched out, and sometimes if you lubricate it too much, this can cause gaps in between your bucking and your barrel, or your bucking and your hop-up unit. So by Teflon taping this as well, it theoretically creates a tighter air seal. Now for this one, you definitely don't need that much, maybe 1 to 2 wraps at most, because it's generally a very tight fit and you don't want to rip that bucking. You can also Teflon tape the outside of your hop-up barrel, so you want to, or your hop-up unit, to the barrel. So essentially, for what the pictures are going to show here, you want to wrap some tape around where the hop-up unit starts, and then overlap that all the way to the barrel, so you keep a constant compression both there as well as inside the bucking itself. So this should also help to maintain less barrel wobble and fluctuations when your nozzle connects inside of your actual hop-up unit. So this is often a lot of issues to where people run into with fluctuations in feet per second, things like that. So definitely an easy mod to do, so feel free to use this one. And this one's nice because you do not need to take apart the gearbox. So definitely a nice mod. So jumping into the last one that I have for you guys, this one also has to deal with more or less the hop up, or actually the barrel, and this is going to be Teflon taping the barrel. Now you may think it's crazy, you know, what is he talking about? Air doesn't leak out of the barrel, and that's not exactly what I'm talking about. Essentially, if you've ever seen a sniper rifle in Airsoft, generally the longer barrels, they have barrel spacers for the inner barrel, and essentially what that does is it stabilizes that inner barrel from vibrations or fluctuation in movement when you fire your shot. And that actually stays true to AEGs as well, just because we don't have quite as strong of a tension from one spring pull or spring release from, say, a bolt action sniper rifle. The barrel itself does fluctuate and vibrate quite a lot, especially when we're firing even on semi-automatic or full auto. So by candy cane wrapping, or even wrapping more consistently on your inner barrel, you can widen that diameter and essentially keep it from vibrating quite as much. And that's definitely a great tip to utilize. I use these on almost all of my guns now, and I've been incredibly happy for it. The one thing that I caution you guys on taping up the barrel is you want to make sure you're as consistent as possible, because even though it locks into your hop-up unit and there's not a lot of play in your inner barrel, if you kind of wrap it in a lopsided type manner, if you will get inaccurate shots, because your barrel will be angled either left, right, up, down, doesn't matter. But you want to make sure that you wrap it as consistently and as evenly as possible. You don't want bumps on one side and not bumps on the other, if that makes any sense. So Overall, guys, these have been very, very easy tips. They're very easy to do. They're a great way to get to know your airsoft gun a little bit better. It always feels good to do some of your own tech work or do-it-yourself projects on your guns, and especially for these cold winter months. As we're walking into spring now, more and more airsoft games, I'm sure, are going to be opening up in your guys' local areas. So this will be a great way to get your gun out of the dust, get your gun out of the closets, wherever you keep them, clean them out, do some great tech work before you get your first games out there, and then go out there shooting nice and hot and consistent. So I hope you guys enjoyed these tips. If you want to see more, shoot me a comment, shoot me a like, whatever you guys like to do. If you have questions, want me to talk about something any more in depth, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. I hope you guys are learning that I try and get back to everybody that tries to reach out to me. And let me know what you think about this new format. I'm recording from one of my headsets from my PC, so hopefully the audio quality is okay. I know it's a little bit different from my camera, so hopefully you can hear me all right. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys again real soon.